Holy shit! I was just putting chapter 2 in the can. And then I checked the Kiwi Farms and I see that Rekieta filed a request for a half-century restraining order on Erin Imholt. Not just for herself, but for her 4 minor children as well. Here are the pages of the HRO application as leaked by Mahmoud Hikmat, aka Moody, from the Dabbleverse. For now, I am going to leave analysis of the application and its chances for success to other lawtubers. I expect a few of them to comment, and Nick to seethe in response, based on past history. I just have one comment on this for now. If you watch my last video, you will note that Erin has already publicly pledged to continue to refrain from talking about Kayla, even after his probation expires. He surely knows that if he starts spilling tea again, he will immediately pick up another HRO. So why the hell is quote Kayla unquote filing this now? How is Kayla any more vulnerable to online humiliation if she merely waits until Erin has a chance to keep his word? In today's video, I want to revisit YouTuber Megan Fox's letter to the judge in Nick's sentencing hearing. In April of 2025, Megan was the only professional person to write a letter on Nick's behalf, with the other 2 people being his father and his wife. Megan asked the judge to refrain from ordering any incarceration for Nick, and instead ask for the judge to grant him probation. She said that Nick needed to be with his family and get back to making the online content that made him successful earlier. Although Megan is one of the biggest Baldo Jannies out there, I enjoy watching her and I admire her for staying Nick's friend. She did Nick a solid with that letter. However, Nick is choosing not to follow the path that Megan laid out for him. And with this latest HRO drop, I would like to see Megan publicly point this out for Nick's benefit, but I do realize that that probably won't do any good. Let us begin. On Megan's Locals account, the letter is preceded by the following paragraph, which is addressed to Megan's local subscribers. I apologize in advance for the AI voice I chose to represent Megan. It is the closest free voice in CapCut that I could find.
Nick Rekieta's sentencing hearing is coming up this week, and I have written a letter of support for him. I am choosing to share this publicly because I know the people who obsessively stalk his case will release it when it hits the public docket. I am not ashamed to offer my support to one of my good friends. I would hope that if I were in a similar situation, my friends would continue to support and root for the best outcome for me. This is the letter that will be submitted to court this week.
Megan labeled Nick's detractors as obsessive stalkers. Although there may be some people who fit that description, I feel it is a broad brush characterization. Of course, Nick uses the stalker label inappropriately all the time, particularly for some of the people attending his court hearings. At the same time, when his Dabbleverse friends showed up at Erin's June 2025 hearing, many having traveled hundreds of miles to do it, and took pictures and video and visited Erin's known haunts, Nick classified them all as citizen journalists. It's a bit of a double standard. This actually doesn't bother me so much, though. It is also funny to visualize a similar situation for Megan to be in. Perhaps a polycule involving Megan and her husband, and Jeremy Hales and his partner George. To Megan's credit, that seems far-fetched to me. Here is the start of the actual letter.
Dear Judge Wentzel, I've known Nick Rekieta professionally and personally since 2022. Nick created an entirely new type of entertainment, covering legal battles on YouTube that was wildly successful.
Not sure if he actually created the genre, but no point arguing about that.
His commitment to his work and his love of the law drove him to be one of the most successful law channels on YouTube, drawing hundreds of thousands of people to engage in legal discussions. Nick's unique style of covering trials from gavel to gavel with humor, legal analysis, and irreverence led to multiple law channels gaining notoriety and popularity.
Boy, those were the days, weren't they? I need to confess here that Nick's method of inviting a lot of lawyers in and having them continually give their takes on what was going on in the courtroom was distracting to me. I prefer Emily D. Baker's style of one-woman commentary, which was generally on point, and allowed me to really follow what was happening in the courtroom. Looking back, part of the reason those lawyers were running their mouths so much was that Nick was bogarting all the stream income, and they were getting, quote, compensated, unquote, from exposure to the internet. Therefore, they were biased toward talking rather than listening. And so they ended up becoming a distraction to those trying to hear what the judge and the litigants were trying to say. And yet, these lawtubers were integral to Nick's success. These days, almost all of them stay away from Nick. The ones who do stream with him often end up regretting it. This includes Ian Runkle of Runkle of the Bailey, who last fall invited Nick onto a 24-hour charity stream. When Nick came on during the 17th hour, Kurt Mueller of Uncivil Law immediately exited the stream, and then came back 10 minutes later when Nick left. Nick, who hates Kurt, immediately mocked him in another live stream for cowardly avoiding Nick. This episode embarrassed Ian, who was merely trying to raise funds for charity. Megan is one of the few people from the pre-polycule days who will stream with him on occasion. Meanwhile, he is left to do trial streams on his own now. He had an opportunity to build momentum with Utah v. Robinson this week, but he has squandered that. And for reasons that became all too apparent on Friday night.
The law became approachable for the average person through Nick's invention. Several channels became successful because of his model, and an entire community known as LawTube grew out of Nick's influence.
Sadly, the only surviving remnant of the Law Pope days is the vanity plate on Nick's banged-up Mustang. All that does for him now is to attract embarrassing photographs for the amusement of his ironic viewers. Incidentally, in this week's HRO application, quote, Kayla, unquote, is bitching about the May 3rd trip to Sally's number 2 for a resupply of Galaxy gas. Because she and Nick dropped off their daughter at Target to make this run. That daughter was volunteered as a human shield for the HRO app.
This led to many people becoming interested in the law, going to law school, becoming lawyers, making lifelong friends who shared interests in legal battles, and changed the trajectory of many lives for the better, including mine. My channel was positively impacted by Nick's unique approach to online entertainment and his direct help and advice.
How's that working out for you these days, Megan? Does it work the same way, or is it kind of the other way around? Where he needs you every couple of months to get a boost of attention, and he needs a wingman to help him seethe about Kurt.
Like a vast majority of lawyers, Nick struggled with substance abuse. This is a well-known and studied problem in the legal profession. It is so widespread that every bar association has programs and resources for lawyers with substance abuse problems.
I wouldn't be surprised if that line on its own was responsible for a substantial portion of the 60 months probation that the judge gave Nick. The judge is an actual practicing lawyer. Megan, what the fuck were you thinking with this?
The stress of quickly attained fame and fortune is also often a catalyst for substance abuse that is also widely acknowledged in the entertainment industry. Nick's meteoric rise to success no doubt played a role in his mistakes.
Nick was successful in large part because he had cultivated the image of a traditional married father of 5, who homeschooled his children and actively took care of them. It is evident he did not appreciate what he had during his polycule days. But in 2026, it seems to me he still doesn't appreciate what he has, including his second chance that the judge gave him. In part because Megan asks the judge for that directly later on in the letter. I don't really know if the fame and fortune was the catalyst for his downfall, but the infamy and poverty surrounding him now is not triggering his redemption.
Nick has acknowledged he broke the law and has taken responsibility for it by pleading guilty to possession. The community and his family would not be served by his incarceration, but would be served by his rehabilitation and his ability to get back to the job he loves, explaining the law to his audience while entertaining them and supporting his family.
Does he really love doing that, Megan? It looks to me like what he really loves is pining over April Imholt and tormenting Aaron Imholt. He's got his wife assisting him for some fucking reason. As for the children, they get to watch the whole thing up close and frequently get pulled on stage for human shield duty.
In the years I have known Nick, I have known him to be generous with his time and helpful to anyone who wanted to know how to be successful on YouTube. He has a genuine desire to help others, has helped me on many occasions, whether it was to give advice about my channel or to just be a friend and listen when I needed someone to talk to.
Since 2024, he has generally served as an example of what not to do if you want to be successful on social media.
Nick is loyal, kind, empathetic, smart, and passionate about his work. He is a good friend, and good friends are rare.
I hope he stays friends with you for your sake, Megan. Being a former friend of Nick Rekieta seems to be a hard row to hoe. Just ask the Imholts.
I have also witnessed Nick's interaction with his children and know they deeply love him and they share a loving, lighthearted banter that only loved children have with their parent. It is unmistakable that they love him and he them. Being a present father is important to Nick.
I don't want to speculate too deeply here, but I do have two observations. One, Kayla wasn't mentioned at all in that passage. What role is she playing in the kids' well-being? Why is Megan saying parent, singular, and not parents, plural? Secondly, how do the kids really feel about their father waxing nostalgic about heavy MDMA use to some F-tier streamer, and hearing that it was mostly triggered by trouble managing the kids' schedules? Shouldn't Nick feel shame for that? It really sounds like he is blaming his kids for his drug use. And supposedly they knew nothing about it at the time. Megan, I am a parent, just like you. Do you really think nothing is wrong here with the Rekietas?
Nick is also the main caregiver to his children, responsible for all of the transportation to school events and classes. His children would not be served by a separation from their father, and the state should not take a father from his children unless he is a danger to society and it is a last option.
Wait. Nick just told Pat Dixon that 3 people were driving the kids around. Nick, Kayla, and the nanny, whether that was the real nanny, Cheney, or April Imholt after Cheney quit. Why did Megan tell the judge that it was only Nick doing the driving? How much of a friend is she to Nick if she had these facts wrong?
Nick Rekieta is only capable of being a danger to himself, and I believe he will recover and make better choices. This is Nick's first offense against the law. I believe he can recover and the community should invest in helping him do that. Everyone deserves a second chance.
The community is paying for so much legal fuckery in their local judicial system right now. And a gravel company is out one payloader and is likely getting shaken down by Nick for an insurance payout. A little girl is losing half her summer to wearing a cast because of this. How's that investment going, Megan?
Many other people have completed diversionary programs and recovered their lives. It is my belief that Nick Rekieta can recover his life and thrive after this unfortunate episode, which I remain hopeful is a temporary setback in an otherwise amazing career and future.
Let me tell you something, my friend. Hope is a dangerous thing. Hope can drive a person insane. It's got no use when dealing with Nick Rekieta. You better get used to that idea.
I hope the court sees the man I know and not the one gossiped about for cheap laughs or the persona fighting back against the gossip publicly. The Nick I know is a man who loves his family, helps those around him, makes mistakes, and then inspires others to be good humans.
I must admit that Nick has served as an inspiration for me to start my own YouTube channel. I always wanted to do this, but I didn't have the gumption to start until just recently. Thank you, Nick, even though I suspect you don't appreciate it. You called me an autistic retard and told me to swallow a knife, after all.
Nick is also deeply remorseful of any harm or pain that he has caused to his children and his family. He may not discuss it publicly, but privately he is devastated.
He is the only member of the defunct polycule that is talking about it constantly. April does not want to talk about it. Erin does not want to talk about it anymore. I suspect if Kayla had her druthers, she wouldn't want to talk about it either. We may soon know more about her motivations. Meanwhile, Nick is gleefully discussing it and bristles that he have a court order not to do so. You will never convince me that continued discussion of this fucking topic is not deleterious to the kids' well-being.
Many times, Nick used his platform to raise money for audience members in need by advertising their GoFundMe accounts. Nightly, he would talk to them about their struggles, including thoughts of self-harm, and he always encouraged them to find something to smile about and try again.
As Kurt Mueller might say, yeah, that's not happening. Yeah.
I have heard from many individuals who told me, Rekieta Law saved my life after reaching out to Nick in a dark time and finding someone who cared to respond. I pray the court will honor the plea agreement in this case and refer Nick Rekieta for probation.
The Dear John rant was a classic.
Sincerely, Megan Fox, author, journalist.
So that's the letter. She predicted a resurrected streaming career and family life after getting out of the drugs, drinking, and adultery that led him astray before. I don't think the judge had this image in mind when he handed down his sentence. Much more recently, Megan replied to an X post with this message about her friend Nick. She states that Nick is generous and forgiving. But yet, when Aaron Imholt confessed to his revenge pornography crime and asked for forgiveness, Nick had none to offer. Instead, he is waging a proxy war on Aaron in the courts, and at the same time committing the same wrongs against April, using his knowledge of the law to come as close as possible to violating it without actually doing so. That's not good character, Megan. Also, what vices are you referring to? What drugs is he doing? Is he taking replacement supplements designed to avoid pissing hot? Inquiring minds want to know. Anyway, I'm going to close this up before I go 20 minutes. I hope you're a good friend to Nick. Megan, I am not sure he has any friends in the local community, and his Dabbleverse buddies might throw him under the bus if circumstances permit. Hopefully you can help him as this HRO crap goes on. That's it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you soon.